Ted's Fish Room. It's been a while since we've taken a look at the upstairs aquarium, and today we're going to do a big water change, and we're going to take some plants out that I'm not very happy with and put in a whole lot more plants. So let's get started on maintaining a 75-gallon planted aquarium. Taking a closer look at the aquarium, you can see that the hair grass has really taken off. And one of the problems is that the hair grass is a lot longer and a lot taller than I thought it was going to be. So for that reason, it's outpacing the growth of the cryptocarine parva, which is back there in the rocks. So I'm not very happy with the growth of the parva. So all of that is going to come out, and we're going to replace it with a taller growing cryptocarine. The other big change to this aquarium is about 3 weeks ago I started fertilizing the tank. I'm using the estimated index method, and I'm not going to try to explain that to you in great detail. People who use the estimated index are very happy with it. And what they say about algae is that if you have lots of light, which I do, plenty of carbon dioxide, which I do, and plenty of fertilizers, which I do because I'm adding them every day, if there's any algae, the problem is either with the light or with the carbon dioxide. So we're going to adjust both of those today, and hopefully we'll see a result within the next few weeks of less algae in the tank. But the first step is going to be to lower the tank water down so I can remove those cryptocarine parva and plant the new plants that are going into the tank. So the tank is drained, and now it's time to get in here and pull out the cryptocarine parva. Now these cryptocarines are rooted, and there is a soil substrate. So I've got to be a little careful about pulling them up without getting the soil up out of underneath the sand. Now to do that, I'm going to grab the roots underneath the plant. I'm going to very gently shake it. And as it pulls up a little further, I'll grab it a little higher up, and eventually it'll let go. Now the nice thing about sand is that as you pull it up, it is filling up the space underneath of the plant that's coming out, and you're not getting a lot of that dirt out from underneath the soil. Now, if you remember from the first video how little root there was on these plants, now take a look at that. So these plants were growing fine, they just weren't getting tall enough for the way I like them to look inside this aquarium. I managed to get out almost all the cryptocarine parva, but some of it was completely buried by the Eleocharis. I did pull up quite a bit of Eleocharis as well, but I'm not going to dig out all those little teeny parva. They're just going to have to live in there. I'm going to replace the cryptocarine with some other species of crypts and some other plants that are going to change the way this tank looks entirely. Before I do that, I'm going to get the scrubby pad going and clean up the back of the tank. This is cryptocarine blasi. It'll get about 10 inches tall. It'll have this oar-shaped leaf on a long petiole. And I'm going to plant it down in the middle of the tank. I'm just going to plant them all along the front side of the rocks. And I have 12 of these plants to put in here. So at first they're going to look pretty sparse, but they'll eventually start filling in. The other cryptocarine I'm going to put in here is cryptocarine lutea, and it's somewhat similar to that blasi, and then it has a small leaf on a long petiole, but it's a much smaller leaf and it's greener. And I'm going to plant those along the edge of the Eleocharis. So when they grow in, it should look like a layer of the lutea with the layer of the blasi behind them. So I'm going to work on getting the rest of these crypts in, and then we'll see what else we're going to put in this tank. Now along the back of the tank and in this corner, I'm going to plant a type of giant hygro called blue hygro. And I really like this plant a lot. It's got a slightly smaller leaf than regular giant hygro and a little bit bluer green to it. And I'm going to take this longer stems where I have stripped the leaves away from the bottom nodes, And I'm going to insert them pretty deeply down into the sand. Remember, the sand is deeper back here, and I want these plants to reach the soil. So I'm going to use my tweezers and push them down quite a ways, and they'll be sure to root better that way. Now this plant grows pretty tall. It'll grow all the way to the top of the tank. It gets pretty bushy, so I don't want to put too many of these plants back here, otherwise they'll overcrowd each other. So right back here behind this rock, I'm going to pull this rock out a little bit. Right next to where the CO2 diffuser is, I'm going to put one of my favorite plants. This is a Ponegeton longipumulosus, and it's going to get pretty big. It's going to fill up this end of the tank, and it's going to become quite the structural part of the aquascape. Now these tend to grow pretty quick, so I'm kind of excited to see how fast that explodes out of that corner, especially being so close to the carbon dioxide diffuser. The last plants to go into this aquascape is my favorite sword plant. This is flame sword, and it's emergent grown, but when it gets its underwater growth, it's going to have that red color to the leaf. It's really pretty. Now I'm going to put two of them over here, one right there, and one out a little bit further, and they're going to kind of fill up space here. And then the other red flame I'm going to put down at the far end of the tank to give this aquascape a little bit of balance. And that's it. All the plants are now in this tank. Here is the upstairs 75-gallon aquarium a couple weeks after planting plants into the tank. I'm going to take a closer look at the cryptocorenes. I did have a bout of crypt rot go through here, and a lot of the larger leaves from the cryptocorene lutea and blasii died. But they did come up with some new growth. That bright green leaf there in the bottom is new growth. And if you look through there, you'll see at the base of most of the plants a new leaf coming up out of the crypts. So they'll bounce back, but right now it's looking a little bit sparse. But the plant that's growing the best of the new plants are those flame swords. Those really dark red and green wrinkled leaves, multicolored leaves, those are the new growth. These leaves up here are the old growth. They'll eventually die back. But this plant has already got 4 or 5 brand new leaves coming up on it. They look really good. The Ponegeton longipumulosus back behind the rock has not started to explode yet. But my experience with these plants is they don't grow really fast until their roots really get well established into the soil substrate. So I suspect that one of these days soon I'm going to come in and that plant is going to be much taller and much fuller almost overnight. This has been the first update on the upstairs 75-gallon aquarium 2 months after we set it up. I'll give it a few more months and we'll come back and take a look at it again. Thank you for watching Ted's Fish Room. If you like this type of programming, please subscribe to my channel and help spread the word by sharing it with your friends. Also check out my Ted's Fish Room Facebook page. Here are a few videos from my channel that you may be interested in watching.